Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man. And today I'm going to be making a video from my car talking about shadow work and how it's not supposed to be fun and how most people succumb to it. And this is something I have to expect because I teach real shadow work and I'll probably make a beginner's guide on shadow work in the future. I don't know why I released an advanced one in the past, because people are driving themselves mad over shadow work. Ugh. Well, I do have to say the world today is a very sensitive world, and well, people are like, well, you have to be sensitive versus if you're too sensitive sometimes, this could really hurt you. So yes, by the way, I'm on the beach, so I do know people on the beach, and I will be saying hi to people if I see them walk past me or etc. But the thing about shadow work is, shadow work's not supposed to be fun. It's just not. If you're doing, that's the fun work is light work. So because you're helping people, you're feeling blessed, you're feeling uplifted, feeling yourself, you're becoming the highest version of you. What is shadow work exactly? It's basically confronting the worst aspects about yourself to become a better person. It makes you the best person you can possibly be. So it helps uplift you, it helps make you a better person, it helps just remove bad aspects of yourself to make sure you're becoming the highest version of yourself you can be. What does that contain? What does that compose of? It's miserable. It's absolutely awful. For about a few days to a few weeks, you're feeling the worst you've ever felt in your whole life because you're ripping problems from your entire life out of you. How painful is that going to be? And what's the point? Why are you going to do that? What's the point of doing that? Like, why are you going to go through a bunch of pain in a few weeks so it doesn't last your entire life? You think a few weeks is a long time, but your entire life you're stuck with shadows that actually weigh down your abundance, weigh down your friendships, weigh down yourself, weigh down everything about yourself that helps you actually succeed. I might put a mini shadow work thing that you guys can do in this video. I'll have a more structured future video for beginner work and shadow work, but most people succumb to shadow work that I've seen. And if you succumb to shadow work and I'm working with you, I'll flat out tell you you're failing your test, like you're succumbing. And I don't hear from people after that because they usually run away. When people are finding the light to be intense, they usually run away from the light into the darkness because it's safe, it's comfortable. Yeah, it's temporarily until you get to the afterlife. But then the darkness is something you want to get out of, but it stays dark. Yeah, I'll talk about that in the future too. So, doing shadow work on this earth versus you just waiting and waiting and waiting, those shadows come with you and those shadows become a part of you. The level of shadow that you have in your soul actually helps you get placed in where you're going in the afterlife, because that's your soul. That's what defined you. That's who you are. So you want to become the highest version of yourself. You want to become the best version of you that you could possibly be. And that takes constant confrontation. The thing about shadow work is, like I said, it's not fun. It will make you a very miserable, unhappy person. And this is why it's okay to go in your shell, because you'll probably be shattering a lot of relationships around you when you're doing the shadow work. I warn people all the time. I say go to a beach, and I'll tell people get a hotel for a week or two, depending on how bad the shadow work is, and depending how bad is the past life blockage that I'll look into or see what's going on. And if it's not that bad, I'll just be like, okay, take a few days to recuperate. And I'm going to say the fire, how do I say things before I say them? I'm like, I'll talk about this later in the video. The fire! Well, that's the thing that people are like, okay. The thing about shadow work is I associate it with the element of fire. So it's fire and shadow. So being very watery, or being, not air, not earth. Well, earth, yeah, the ground. So you want to be water. You want to be water and earth when it comes to shadow work, which is fire and air. Air as in everything's kind of up in the air. Fire as in it's really intense. But you need those elements. What happens when you add air to fire? It gets bigger. So usually when you guys do shadow work, things are getting bigger. You're seeing things emphasized in front of you. Things are getting blown out of proportion. Arguments with fights, family members, yada, yada, yada. But when it's over, a month after shadow work, you're living the best life you've ever lived. You're seeing happiness, and you forget aspects about yourself from the past that were weighing you down. So yeah, that's the biggest thing with shadow work. And if I keep adjusting my necklace, it's because I'm tilted. I'm enjoying the cold air on my head versus the because it is kind of cool, and chill it out in Florida. But the thing with the shadow work is you do have to realize it's not fun, it's miserable, it's not I mean, the only bragging right with shadow work is realizing that you've gotten through it. Not that you're in it, that you've gotten through it. I can't even comment on posts online. I can't even reshare certain posts. People are like, haha, I love my shadow work. This is amazing. That's not shadow work. That's playing pretend. That's cosplay shadow work, okay? Real shadow work's not fun. Most people that you see in this day and age who are nasty people are actually people who've had so many shadows throughout their entire life that they have not confronted that person became the shadow. That person got dragged down by their own energy and they're projecting it on other people. And people, especially because those projections will spill out. I tell people all the time, what's it mean when someone takes something and directs it towards you, like an insult, like, you don't look good today, or you don't look like yourself today. People will say to other people, you look tired. It's because that person's tired on the inside and they see everyone outside of themselves as how they view themselves subconsciously. Very trippy aspect, but yeah, you gotta do the shadow work. So it's not fun. Don't expect it to be fun. When you do it, have a few things in place. So one, expect to be nasty for a few weeks. Like, the one thing with shadow work too, it's gonna make you want to blame everyone else but yourself because it's too much. It's a little overwhelming. How I've described shadow work is enough to make someone not want to do it. My video in the future will be shadow work in baby steps, because sometimes that's what it needs. But shadow work in baby steps is sometimes not it. Like, why would you do shadow work in all at once versus in baby steps? When you do baby steps, you can also go a whole step backward after 10 baby steps forward. So 10 baby steps forward might have been one step forward in a giant step, if you get what I'm saying. So do the shadow work all at once. Rip the shadow out. Once it's fully ripped out, because imagine you're peeling the band-aid off slowly, or the like a tape off slowly, or the Brazilian wax strip. You're peeling off Brazilian wax strip. Okay, for the people who get Brazilian waxes, you're peeling it off slowly versus you rip it off. What's more painful? You pick a pain. And when I say to people pick a pain, it's because we're on the earth with the enemy, and we're on the earth, most importantly, with God. This is the in-between. We're subject to everything, even in the best of times. I'm going to use Adam and Eve as an example. So they're in the most beautiful garden, but there's still a snake. That snake was the shadow. There's benefits. Ooh, I love this example. Eve talking to the snake and her uncovering that the truth of good and evil with Adam actually got them. Ooh, this is a really interesting example. So they've actually made more shadows for themselves in that sense, but they're actually ending up closer to God because they're going to heaven. So it's all necessary. So the more we step into shadow work, the bigger the reward. And yes, there's people walking past me. I don't know if people go for walks when it's this cold on the beach, but that's a really good example. I'll be using more examples, especially from Genesis, from the Bible, because it's such a beautiful message of love and just moving closer to God and everything is good. But yeah, just think about it. So even Earth is the in-between. There's no such thing as 100% protection from anything on Earth, because we're on Earth, this physical carnation on this realm of existence. We're susceptible to things, so we must do the shadow work to confront them so we don't save them. Think about it like this. I'm going to say this in a different analogy. Your entire life is like a computer chip. Your brain's like a computer chip. Unless you constantly forget, that's a really bad shadow. Unless it's just nutrition related, or you choose to delete memories. Sometimes ignoring problems can make them go away. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the problem. So in this case, you'll confront shadows. So what do I mean by shadow work? It's not for everyone from earlier, by the way. Like I say, most people succumb, and I have seen certain people actually become their shadows. And people will think that's fun and cool, right? It's not, because they get hit by the heaviest of karma. Now, very, very, very long time ago, I've had a particular woman get a necklace of obsidian from me, and her demons just kind of got the obsidian off of her, and she became kind of possessed after she stopped using the obsidian. It's because, was it the obsidian that just led up to that? No. Obsidian's a very intense crystal, and I suggest black tourmaline if you have demons around you. But what happens with obsidian is it kind of shakes everything up and pulls it out so you can see it. Now you have the free will when you see your shadow. It's, hey, this is a vicious, nasty part of myself. And some people will be like, oh, look, cool, that's the new me, that's the shadow me, I'm the bad girl, bad guy, whatever people want to call themselves. And it might be temporarily relieving to become that shadow and be the nasty person, but at the end of the day, you're a nasty person, you have nothing and nobody. So certain people will take their shadows and they'll let the shadows become a part of them because it's cool, it's fun. They get to do whatever they want. This nasty aspect about themselves is the way they bend towards darkness. Versus, hey, this shadow is really, really ugly. It's a nasty part of me, and it's tempting to go back to certain things because it's instant gratification. But with instant gratification comes no long-term results that help you. It doesn't help you move closer to God. So instead, use the light aspect. So bend it into light. Turn your shadows into, hey, this is a good example. Hey, this shadow work that I just did, I can help other people with that now. It took a while for me to overcome, but now it's a tool that I can actually help other people overcome their shadows, and you're creating a more positive effect on the planet. Yeah, that's how it should go. Versus, hey, look at me, I'm the bad person now. Like, ooh, I'm the villain. Some people will think that's cute, but when you're the villain in hell, not fun. When it's dark and lonely and you're by yourself and you're crying out. No, okay. Yeah, because I do say that people have this energy about them that they accept and claim bad energy, but when you show up in the afterlife and you're exactly in a place of bad energy, that's what you asked for. So shadows can be, because remember, without a light there would be no shadow, and without the shadow there would be no light, right? As above, so below. And the shadow does help you appreciate light. So for some of you who have had very long drawn out situations, it'll help you appreciate the good thing. One thing that'll help during shadow work is gratitude. I've made videos about that. If you're looking for things that you're grateful for throughout your day, they multiply. That's what gratitude is. It's not, I am so grateful for, I'm grateful for my crystal and the cloud and the weather. So some people will, I'm not making fun of anyone here, okay? This is just, okay. But some people will just automatically do their shadow work, or gratitude, I mean, and just be like, I'm grateful for the floor. I mean, you can be grateful for the floor. You can be grateful that you're on the floor and you're standing, okay? But genuine gratitude, not like, okay, I'm, like, for example, it's cloudy. I'm grateful that it's not raining. I'm grateful for it not being freezing. I'm grateful for, because people don't appreciate their weather. A lot of Floridians, they have the cloudy weather, but they don't realize the rest of the entire world is freezing. That's a good example. Another example is people are like, well, I don't like getting sand on my feet. I went to the beach, said I got sand in my feet. Well, some people can't even stand, so congratulations. And if you're someone who says, well, I'm grateful for everything, or God knows what I'm grateful for, so I don't have to say anything. That's ego and it's pride, and it won't get you very far. It'll get you things subtracted so you're able to appreciate what's directly in front of you. Sometimes that's why people are left with nothing. It's because when that person's left with nothing and they have one thing in their life that they're grateful for, it multiplies in a positive manner that they'll appreciate the things that they're grateful for. It's really interesting, but back to the topic of most people succumb to shadow work. It's unfortunate because most people do. Some people will succumb to it and then just store it away. So the shadow will come out. They won't confront it. They'll kind of accept it or tuck it away as a part of them, or just not deal with the shadow or repress the shadow. And it makes a really dark person, or a person that used to be light and a person who's now dark. Because as a being of light, you do have to confront your shadows. You do. And they're supposed to make you stronger and help you get through other obstacles. The biggest thing with the shadow work is just come up with a method of becoming self-accountable. So with shadow work, a lot of people will be like, well, everything's not my fault. It's like everything's someone else's fault, or this stuff's happening around me. I can't really do anything about it. Well, this is outside of my control. Everything is not outside of your control because you give it to God and he'll take over, but the things you can't control, you will. So do your part. Don't have victim mentality. As humans, we can get bummed out sometimes, but pick yourself right back up because there's good things coming. When you have the craziest shadow work and you're seeing all this it feels like nothing good is coming and nothing good is happening, it means something so big is coming that is good that it just needed to be cleared out of the way. Because sometimes you guys will have lives that you're comfortable and nothing's changing, but by the time it's time to change, it's too late. And you never asked God. For some people who don't ask God for anything at all, ask him for help in ways you can't see, and he always will. It won't be enjoyable, but it'll help you get to where you need to be. If you have any questions, guys, ask them in the comment section. Like I said, the shadow work's too much for most people, and most people will succumb to their shadows, but if you're a person who can overcome your shadows and not let them bother you again, or when they pop up again, you have a new mechanism, you'll be the strongest person on the entire planet. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!